Everybody's really awake, better than I was. Good morning to those who are watching us online. So today we have our lecture done by our friend Teresa, that's the power of prayer. But before we start that, Marco is going to do the initial reading and the prayer for us.
So this is a reading from the book Happy Life by Devout Peter Franco and Spirituality Angelis. You are immersed in the ocean of God's love. You are never alone. God is in you and around you. Discover Him and let Him lead you to wisdom. You are His heir, possessor of the universe. Let His love permeate you totally, commanding you, your will and your steps, and allowing you to grow with little or no suffering. In God, you find all, filling you completely. And with these words of Joana de Angelis, we're going to now take this moment to elevate our thoughts and our minds to our Father, Mother, God, our Creator, our Master Jesus. And we're going to thank for this opportunity of being here, living this existence, of learning. And may we ask that we strengthen our faith in God, in His perfection, and through our prayers, as we're going to hear today, we may continue this journey of evolution, of enlightenment, in every day, in every moment of our experiences. May we leave God's love in every act of our existences. Let us also ask all our spirits that are here helping us today to enlighten Teresa and all of us, so we can use this opportunity of sharing the love and the knowledge that are so important in these existences. Thank you, and so be it. Please.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Just let me get set here. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about the power of prayer. So I think it's a question that I have. I didn't touch anything. It's weird. Oh, okay. It wasn't me. So I have questioned myself a lot of times, and I think we all have questioned ourselves. Does it really work? Does it really powerful? And I'm really being heard or not? So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. But let's first talk about prayers in general. What it is a prayer. So in general, a prayer is an invocation or act that seeks to activate a rapport with the object of worship, typically a deity, through deliberate communication. So in the narrow sense, the term refers to an act of supplication or intercession directed towards a deity or a deified ancestor. So basically, it's a moment that I choose to either through my thoughts or my words to connect with something that I think it's sacred. It's above me, right? And I did put it in general terms. I didn't use God or anything here because we have to remember that 1,000 years ago, we were actually praying for the sun, for the thunder, the rain, the harvest God, right? And that's praying. That's praying. But for us, because we are monotheists and we are Christians, we tend to pray to God because we understand we only have one God, it's above us. So we tend to pray to Him or to pray to Jesus as Christians, right? To give us that support that we need. As Spiritists, then we add to it and we tend to pray to our benefactors, our spiritual benefactors, to our mentors or guardian angel, however you want to call it, right? So we add to it. So we tend to pray to them. That's usually how we do. But does prayer really works? Does it works for me or it only works for the other ones? Because sometimes I feel like, oh, I see the other people pray and then they receive what they want, but it never works for me. Does it really works for me? It only works for the other ones? Because we tend to see that, the neighbor's grass is always greener than mine. Is that true or not? So what's the deal here, right? So I'm going to bring for us a passage from the book Missionaries of Light. Specifically, chapter 6 is called Prayer. It's a book by Francisco Xavier, by the spirit of André Luiz. But actually, the story that we're going to be talking right now starts on chapter 5. Okay, I really recommend you to read this book of André Luiz's collection. I would say that's in my top 3 favorite books is Missionary of Light. And on chapter 5, what's happening is you have André Luiz and Alexandre. So Alexandre is the benefactor, so it's the superior spirit here who's helping André Luiz with his learning. So it's teaching him, and André Luiz is going with him many different places to learn. So they go to a Spiritist house, and they see this Spiritist group. So actually the mediumistic group in there. And the meeting is just ending, and everybody's about to leave the place. And André Luiz knows that before they get inside the Spiritist house, there is a lot of less evolved spirits outside who do not come in, right? And he's already kind of impressed about that, right? So he goes inside, and everybody's shining so much light, and he see all this protection, and the group is ended, and everybody's giving those words to each other before they leave the Spiritist house. Oh, it was a beautiful night. Oh, I feel so enlightened. Oh yeah, this bright light. And André Luiz is very no, look at that, it's being impressed. And Alexandre tells him, don't be that impressed. Wait and see. And he said, let's follow those 2 people in special. So mother and son leave the Spiritist house, and they received all the enlightenment when you're inside the Spiritist house and everything. So they describe as having this light shining from their foreheads. And the moment they step outside, I'm saying the moment, I mean literally, as soon as they cross the door outside of the Spiritist center, their thoughts go to the gloomy thoughts that they had before right away. In that very moment, 2 obsessors who were just waiting outside just connects with the sun. And the mother has her own obsessor waiting for her outside. So they came with them, but they didn't come inside because of the protection of the Spiritist house, but they're outside waiting. Just waiting. And as soon as they're outside, they reconnected. Because they couldn't keep the high vibrations in their thoughts that they were having inside the Spiritist house. So they reconnected right there. The son has those 2 obsessors around him that he acquired due to being involved with prostitution. So he's recently married, and but he has his own desires, sexual desires, and he let his vices speak a little bit louder than what he should. He cannot resist. So by going to those places, he now acquired those 2 spirits that are doing what we call vampirism. So it's like a vampire, sucking his energy away, but at the same time, just to reinforce a vice that he already has inside of him, right? So they connected to him right away, and André Luiz looks at that, it's like, wow. Right? And the moment that they connect, remember the bright light was shining, it just disappears completely, gone. And the son and the mother start to have this very gloomy conversation. Oh, my life, it's so hard. I know I shouldn't be doing this. And then the mother goes, oh, but if you knew my life, and this, and the more negative they go, the more attached they are. So André Luiz asks Alexandre and says, but can't we do anything to separate them, like to make them go, to separate those obsessors, to help them? And the answer that, I'm going to actually be reading a few passages today from the book, because I think there's some information here, some concepts that are very important. And the answer that Alexandre gives to him is this: who should break the shackles except themselves? They never lacked the outside help of our continuous friendship. However, they themselves nourish each other in the realm of subtle sensations. So he's basically telling André Luiz, he's saying, who created the connection? It's him. So who has to break the connection? It's him. He said, there's no lack of help. Don't get it wrong, we are here helping him. Remember when he was in Spiritist Center, what they did with him? They didn't allow the obsessors to come in. They gave him the opportunity of being in a protected place. They enlightened him and everything. But he has to do his job of getting out there. He got it. And when he's out there, use it. Right? Because he's the one who created the connection. He's the one who has to break the connection. We're here to help. We're not here to do his job. The job of taking care of our problems, it's ours. We really want to help. So the son and the mother keep talking about their gloomy lives and how everything is hard and this and that. And then the son says something to the mother. Woe to us if Spiritism had not come into our lives as a sacred source of sublime consolation. So what the son is saying is like, wow, thank God we got Spiritism in our life, because this is such a blessed consolation, so brings so much consolation to us. In this moment, Alexandre touches his mother's forehead, so she has no awareness of what's happening. So he touches her forehead, and he gives her the intuition to give him the right message, to tell him what he needs to hear, right? So the mother gets inspired by Alexandre to give this answer to him. I agree that Spiritism is our fount of consolation, but I cannot forget that the doctrine is a blessed preparatory school. If we remain attached to our demands for comfort, we might end up forgetting that we must work. So what the mother, in some sense, the Alexandre is telling him is, yeah, it is true. Spiritism, it is a blessed consolation. But we have to not forget that most of all, it's a preparatory school, which means it's a school that's going to give you the information, that's going to give you the knowledge, that's giving what you need to do your own homework. So to do your own work. It's not here to solve your problems. It's here to give you the tools for you to solve your problems. Because if you only keep using the consolation for my own comfort, because I wanted someone to solve my problems, then we're going to forget that we're here to work. That we're not here to just, having people solving our problems. Because that would be very easy. I make the problem and someone solves for me. The dream of all of us, let's be very honest. We all would dream that someone would solve our problems. Unfortunately, there's no Spiritist house in this planet that will be able to solve your problems, or my problems, or anybody's problems. It will help us, will enlighten us, we even maybe help with an obsession that will be taken away, but the truth is, if we don't change who we are, another obsession will come, because we need to do our homework. And she keeps saying, she keeps going, but if we look only for consolation, without building up our strength, we'll be nothing but spiritual children. Because that's how children are, right? They do something, then you're going to fix, but they're children. We all fix it, and that's what we're going to become. Just the children that make their mistakes, and keep waiting for the spiritual plan to fix it for us, right? So we're never going to evolve. If we seek the company of benevolent guides with only the intention of enjoying personal advantages where we acquire enlightenment. Aren't we here on earth to learn? So what she's saying is that if I'm going to the Spirit Center just to get consolation, just to get my problem solved, just to get that obsession away, but I'm not doing anything to strengthen myself, to learn. So where am I going to strengthen myself? Because the place where I should be using to strengthen myself, to strengthen my knowledge, to acquire all those tools that I need, I'm just using for consolation. I'm just going there to solve my problems. So where I'm gonna strengthen myself? Where? Out there, when we exposed to everything, it's going to be very hard. And she's, and are we here to learn? That's in the end what we hear every single day is to learn, to strengthen ourselves, to know ourselves better, to try to grow. So that's what he's saying to him. And she keeps going. She says, our benefactors from the beyond do not want us to be the needy of God's house forever, but to be fellow spirits in the glorious work of the good, and to be as generous, strong, wise, and happy as they themselves already are. So basically that's what they're waiting for us. They don't want us to be always the needy kid that's always asking for someone to solve my problems. I need it. I need it. I wanted this because we're very good at this. I wanted this. We probably about spiritual talk, and I think probably about 2 or 3 years old. I wanted this. I wanted that. I wanted this problem solved. I don't like this. That's what we do. But until we don't start to solve our own problems, until we don't really enlighten ourselves and start learning, that's what we're going to be. Spiritually, we're just going to be children who was always whining and saying, I wanted this, I wanted that. And that's not what they want. They expect us to grow, to learn, to be wise, so we can now, tomorrow, be the next benefactors who are there doing what Alexandre is doing, right? And we already can be benefactors right now in the position that we are. We can be benefactors for the ones who know a little bit less than us, right? But that's what they're expecting us, for us to grow as an individual and not just be the person who's always needs something. So anyways, the mother and the son, they go apart. So she goes to her house, he goes to his house. And André Luiz looks closer to him, and he sees something that really catches his attention. So André Luiz, for the ones who don't know, in his previous incarnation was a doctor, and he looks at his body and he noticed this microbial field. So on his physical body, so not even talking about the spiritual body, in his physical body, he sees this really darkness, microbial field around him, and especially around the sexual organs area, right? Because that's what he does all his abuses and vices. And then André is very intrigued because he said, how do you treat them? Because when I was a doctor, when I was incarnated as a doctor, it would be easy for me to understand. Like, if you had a pneumonia, I'll give an antibiotic. If you had this, I'll give you this medication. If you had that, we'll do this. But this is a spiritual cause, causing something on the physical body. We said, I didn't know that was possible. How do you guys solve this? Is there any ways to solve this? And Alexandre says yes. Don't get it wrong. We have tons of methodology and treatment for cleansing, healing, for everything. The same way that you guys have your medicine in your incarnated world, we have our medicine here on our spiritual world. But he says to André Luiz, we have been compelled to realize that each of God's children must be his or her own physician. And until this truth is fully accepted and its practices are applied, the individual will be subjected to unending imbalances. So what he's saying says, yes, there is a way that we can go and take all this darkness out of him. There is a way that we can just completely remove this microbial field. But we, as a children of God, we need to start to learn that we have to be our own physicians. So basically what he's trying to say is that it doesn't matter which treatment we do with this guy. If he doesn't change his way of living his life, his habits, if he doesn't fight up against his own vices, there's absolutely nothing that we can do here. Yeah, we can take those 2 obsessors away. He just came from a mediumistic group. They could, like, the mediumistic call the two guys, say, hey, no, this is not good for you. Let's go away. And the spirit says, oh yeah, we recognize we're doing wrong, so we're gonna leave him alone. But he's still doing what he's doing. Another two will come. There's plenty out there. So we need to be our own physicians. We need to help ourselves, right? So that's what he's saying. The help is there. Yes, we can do it. We can help. But everybody needs to start to learn to be their own physicians. And it's very easy to understand that you go to the doctor, you have that stomach pain, you go to your doctor, and then what he does, he prescribes some medication for relieving the pain, so relieving the symptoms. But meanwhile, he says, wow, what's causing your problem is actually your diet. You know, you're full of sugar and fat, so maybe I need you to cut your fat by half, your sugars by 3/4, whatever it is, you know, but you need to follow this diet. I don't know about you guys, I'm not great on following diets. We don't want to. So what do? We go home, we take the medication, because taking medication is easy, because that's what we want. We want someone to give me a magic pill that I'm going to take it and it's going to solve my problem. So what I do, I take my magic pill, I take the medication, but the diet, I do for the first week because it's paining. So for the first week when the pain is there, I'll do it. As soon as the medication now is helping me with the symptoms, what I do with the diet, I know, I love my bacon. I love my, you know, my coffee with 4 sugars, you know, whatever it is, right? So I'll go back. What's going to happen with that pain? It's going to come back. And then who will blame? The doctor? And that a lot of times we do. Oh, I know this is not the right doctor. I probably need a second opinion. I need someone else. That's how we do. It's never my responsibility. So the help didn't come. The doctor came, prescribed the right medication, took away the pain, so the symptoms, but the cause, there's only one person that could take the cause of my stomach pain, was myself, by changing my diet. So they changed my habits, changed the way I live, and everything. Did I do my share? No. What's going to happen? The pain's going to come back. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same process. That's what he's telling him here. That we need to be our own physicians. It doesn't matter if I go down on my knees and I cry and I pray and I ask, the help will come. Yes, the help will come. But until I don't decide to do my own part, my own share, there's only so much they can do. That's why he's saying right here to André Luiz. Yeah, we could solve that problem. But this guy has to do his part. Anyways, they arrived to the guy's house, so they're still following him. And then when they arrive to the guy's house, and there is something that really impresses him. The house has like a bubble, like it was like a bubble of light around the house that actually protects the house. So the two spirits, the two obsessors, don't dare to get inside the house, so they stay outside. They don't go inside. So the guy goes inside, the two spirits don't go. And the house is protected. And André is like, wow. And Alexandre looks at him like, why are you impressed? Don't you know that the prayer creates a vibratory protection, a vibratory border? So why are you impressed? Like me, I mean, you're already steady enough to know that this is, you know, common, and don't get impressed. And that's exactly what's happening in the house. So Alexandre explains to André Luiz, the domestic sanctuary inhabited by persons who love prayer and uplifting sentiments becomes a sublime field for the most beautiful spiritual flowering and harvest. And that's what I say here. Persons who love prayer and uplifting sentiments. Because I can pray as much as I want at home, but if the sentiments that I have inside of me, the sentiments that I put in the prayer, is not uplifting, that is probably just the words coming out of my mouth. So talking about, like when we're talking about this kind of prayer that is talking about, is the prayer that really comes with sentiment. That where I really wanted to connect with God. And not just prayers that I memorize or that, you know, I do just because, you know, became a habit that every night I say a few words and that's it, right? We're talking about the prayers that are done with faith. It's done with the good sentiments. So by people who in general in their daily lives do carry good sentiments, because what we do outside, it reflects what we have inside. And he says, a young Christian woman has guaranteed his house, so the guy's house, tranquility with her presence due to the abundant and continuous emission of purifying and luminous energies that nurture her spirit. So his wife nurtures so much good sentiments inside of her. She's not perfect, okay? She's not an angel, not a perfect spirit, because we always have to, we read this like, oh, I know I need to be an angel to do what she does. No. But she's someone who, in general, nourishes inside of herself good sentiments, okay? And so the moment that she does her prayer, and by carrying the sentiment probably through the days, right, she actually protects the whole house. And in consequence, she protects him. Because also in the same way that when he was in the Spiritist house, the spirits couldn't go inside with him, the same thing when he was at home. So the home became a safe place for him to also recharge his energies, and for a moment do not have the influence of the two spirits, so he could reconnect himself, so he could say what I'm doing and try to work on himself. So isn't the help there for him? Yes. He's being helped in the Spiritist Center. He's being helped at home. He was helped during his walk through the home by Alexandre talking through his mother. So the help is there. And that help happens to us all the time. I keep thinking, like, how many times someone talked to me and then maybe also the Spiritist like touching and giving me the message and maybe I didn't hear, or hear what I didn't want to hear, so I was like, I don't want to hear that, right? It's there for all of us. Don't think that those people here in the books are special people. Oh, but they're special. Nothing this will happen to us. No, it does happen to us. The help is there to all of us. But this guy has to do his own homework. He has to do his job. And he's being helped. So the guy goes inside. Andrea Luiz and the spirit and then Alexandre go inside as well. And at this moment, the wife is already sleeping, and her spirit is already temporarily detached from her body, right? So she's already free from her body, so she's sleeping. And the husband goes into the bedroom to opens the door and close, the one to wake her up, and then he's preparing himself to lie down. And Alexandre has such a respect for this place because of the environment that she created that he actually knocks at the door. We know there's a spirit, a wall, a door makes no difference, like you could just go through. But he knocks at the door in respect from the space. The wife comes, opens the door, very happy with the presence of Andrea Luiz and Alexandre, saying, please come in, I'm very happy that you're here so we all can pray together. But if you excuse me, I have a pressing duty that I need to do right now. And what she does is she goes, sits at the head of the bed. So the husband this moment is lying down, you know, and you're fluffing your pillow, trying to find a comfortable position to lie down. And she sits at the head of the bed. And he's still awake, and he lies his head in her spiritual lap. So he has no awareness that she's actually, there's a spirit sitting there, and that's where he puts his head. And in that moment, she elevates her thought to God and starts to pray. And she doesn't pray, God, fix him. And in the story, we don't know if she knows what's happening or not. We don't know. But she clearly knows that he needs enlightenment, because that's the only she asks him. Please enlighten him. She doesn't ask solve his problems, solve my problems, fix him, make him stop what he's doing. Nothing. The only thing that she does, she asks God to bring him enlightenment. And in that moment, Andrea Luiz describes that her heart starts to just like burst with light, so strong and so luminous that it just starts to cover his whole physical body and starts to concentrate especially on the microbial dark field that Andrea Luiz had seen around his sexual organs, and starts to clear everything away. She takes every single bit of darkness that was in his physical body away, She cleanses him completely. And in that moment, Andrea Luiz looks at that and just says to Alexandre, I know it's self-explanatory because I saw what happened, but I still want to hear from you about what I just saw. And that's what Alexandre says. He says, prayer is the most effective antidote for vampirism, because that's what's happened with him, right? He has been vampirized by those two spirits. Prayer is neither a mechanical movement of the lips nor a record of easy repetition by the mind. It is vibration, energy, and power. The person who mobilizes his or her own energies in prayer performs deeds of indescribable significance. So what he's saying here, that's not just, sorry, it's not just a matter of moving my mouth and say something. And it's not just a repetition. We're just actually joking just before we started the lecture that, if you take something and you have to pray 18 times, then it's the magical number. No, there's no magical number. Or if I repeat this 5 times, if I repeat this 10 times, makes no difference. Now, there's any problem for me using a prayer that it's pre-made, like our Father's prayer, right? Our Lord. No, there's no problem. But what kind of a sentiment are you putting there? What it is. Because in the end, prayer is just a talk with God. You don't need fancy words. You don't even need a long one. Nothing. It can be simple. But it has to come with sentiment. We have to have vibration, energy, and power. Because when we really use our sentiments, when we're really there before God and say, I'm in pain, but I trust you, we vibrate. We created energy, and that's power. So prayer is one of the most powerful things that we have in. As far as we truly pray, we truly connect. We're really present in that moment. And can be just waking up and saying to God, thank you for another day. That's it. That moment we connected. That moment we vibrated, we had the energy and we had power. And he says that this capacity that we have to connect to God, to use the moment of prayer to connect to God, is what reveals our divine origin and puts us in contact with the higher sources. Remember, we're part of God, we're part of His creation. And it's this power that we have to connect with Him, to connect with the higher, that's what makes us divine. That's what proves that we are sons and daughters of God. That's who we are. And we all have this power, all of us. This woman here, she's not special. She just tried. She just did her homework better than we did it, or at least better than I did it. Okay. And just because we're talking about vibration, energy, and power, I'm gonna kind of jump here a little bit. And some people have more scientific minds, so they wanna, I wanna prove this. What's this energy, vibration? I don't know. It's a little bit too, abstracted for me. So I brought a little bit of science. So I think a lot of you may have heard about Dr. Masaru Emoto. He was a Japanese scientist, doctor and scientist. I actually had the pleasure, I would say the honor, to watch one of his last lectures a few years ago here in Toronto before he discarnated. And Dr. Emoto started his research with water because he truly believed that our thoughts, words, spoken words, written words had power. He really believed that they created a vibration and an energy that could imprint in water, because they thought that water was something that was very pliable and able to absorb that energy. And actually, if you read the book Nosso Lar, that's exactly what is explained to André Luiz when he's invited to go to a chapter called The Water Station. So that's exactly what they explained to André Luiz. The water is the most pliable substance that we have on Earth, and it is capable of carrying and absorbing energy. And Dr. Masaru Emoto realized that. So what he started to do, he started to do research with water, and his research is very extensive. He tested water all around the world, and including water from the Amazon River, which gives a beautiful crystal. Got like different cities, different rivers, like tap water. He did everything. But major what he used to do is he would get, and that's probably the most famous of his research, is that he would get 2 glasses of water, and one he would talk to the water, just bad stuff. So like, you ugly, I don't like you, I hate you, you stupid, and just keep talking with the water. The other one, he would say, I love you, you're beautiful, you're fantastic. Would just talk positive things to that water. And what he would do, what he noticed with the water is that when you freeze water and then you defrost the water, just for a few seconds, just before the water is fully defrosted into water, it creates crystals. And with special cameras in a special room, temperature room and everything, he would be able to take pictures of for split seconds of those crystals. And you notice that the water that you would say bad stuff, there's no crystal formation. So they would be very similar to this one. Or the crystals would be very disturbed, very, very disturbed. And he noticed that the water that they would say is positive stuff and everything, you have like beautiful crystals. So this is one of his research, one of these experiments. So he got this tap water. So it's a polluted water, actually, sorry, not tap water. It's a polluted water. And for 10 days, they prayed over this water. And he even get people around the world to everybody pray at the same time for this water. And after 10 days, he got the same water that he had froze, got the polluted water, froze, defrosted, no crystals. 10 days after prayer, he froze the water again, defrosted, and that's where he got it. This beautiful crystal. And there's tons of research that he did. And he did this with prayer. He did this with spoken words. He did this with thoughts. Don't even talk with the water. Just think. Okay? He did this with written. Just write it down. Label one water with I hate you, and label one water with I love you. Sit them for a few days, test it. Same thing. The only difference that he sees that depending what it is that you write, the crystal is different. And he says that the most beautiful crystal that he has ever seen is the crystal that's formed with the word love. Says the most beautiful crystal. And in the book, he has the picture there. It is stunning. He did with music, different style of music. It is fantastic. So yes, prayer, it is energy. It is vibration, and it has power. And actually, Dr. Masaru Emoto used to believe that if the whole earth, for 5 minutes, every single inhabitant of this planet, for 5 minutes, vibrated positive thoughts together, would heal this planet in 5 minutes. That's what he believed it. Because you have to remember, we are pure water. Our body is 70% water. Earth's surface is more water than land. So it's in our power here, right? So if anybody has any doubt about the physical effects of a prayer, it is right here. So you need a bit of science in there. Dr. Masaru Emoto. He has many books for people who like physics. He has even one that has like the graphs of physics and explains the how. And like for me, it's like, I have no idea. But if you like a little bit more the scientific, he has some of the books explain exactly how it is, the rays and this and that, how it vibrates, and okay. So that's the power. Let's go back to our story there, right? So remember what Alexandre said to André Luiz, that we have to be our own physicians, that we have to correct our own mistakes. But who cleansed him? Was he himself because he decided to detach from the spirits, or his wife? It was his wife, right? She's doing so. Doesn't it look like there's a little bit of contradiction here? Because it's up to him to solve the problem, but she's the one who's apparently solved the problem for him. So Andrea Luiz actually kind of thinks in the same way. So he asks Alexandre, says, but by her act of goodness, does that mean that he now is going to become a good person? So the fact that she went there, taking all the negativity and everything, so now he's going to become a good person. That's how it's going to be. So by absorption here, right? Just by being close to someone who is good, now he's going to become a good person. So is he going to achieve mental balance? Because that's what he's imbalanced, right? So that's why he's so attached to his vice. So is he going to achieve that mental equilibrium, right? Just by being in contact with her. And this is the answer that Alexandre gives to him. He says, Cecilia, who's the wife, yeah, says, Cecilia's assistance is valuable for her partner, but her ability to send out to divine missions belongs to her alone, as the incorruptible fruit of her individual efforts. For him, it means an added mercy that he will attach permanently to the heritage of his personality through his own work. So basically what he's saying is her, so let's see, like in terms of a more evolution, she's here, he's here, okay? The fact that she helped him and shared all her goodness with him and all this energy doesn't bring him here. She's here because she acquired from her own efforts this capacity that she has to emanate this energy, to pray with so much faith and to carry good sentiments inside of her. It's just a fruit of her own efforts. Nobody gave to her. It's hers because she worked to become this person, and it's hers. And he's not going to acquire just because he's with her and she's sharing this energy with him or helping to heal him, right? Now for him, like they say, it's an added mercy, which means someone's here is helping them. That's just a help, but he has to do his own homework. He has to work. So for him, it's not something that now is going to bring him to a higher levels. It's just the help that he needs, the help that we always ask for. But we don't see it because I don't want to help. I want someone to solve my problems. And it's not going to happen, right? So for him, it's just something that he's now going to have to receive and do a good use. It's like it's a tool that's given to him and say, hey, here, an extra tool now here for you to go and do your work. But it's up to him to decide what he's going to do with it or not. Is he going to do a good use of it or not, right? Receiving the assistance of the good does not mean that the beneficiary himself is good. So just because she did something good doesn't make him good. He has to become good if he wants. Our friend needs to devote himself fervently to making good use of the blessings he receives, because all outside help can be interrupted, and each of God's children is the heir of sublime potential and must act as his or her own physician. So he goes back to what he said before. Yes, he's being helped, but it's going to be up to him to choose what's going to be doing with this help. And eventually, the help can be taken away. That's what it says here, right? The help can be interrupted. Why? Because imagine, every time he goes to the Spiritist center or he comes home, this is taken away. But when he's outside, he doesn't change the way of being. He doesn't change his way of thinking. He leads the same life. He doesn't try to fight against his vices. So what the spiritual plan would be doing if they kept just helping him? Would just be enabling a vice, right? I know what I'm doing is wrong. I wish I could change, but I don't change. And then, but I know when I go home, I get all these good vibes. And when I go to the Spirit Sense, I get this vibe. And that's, So if we keep helping, it's the same thing. If someone's a drug addict, do you keep giving money to them? No, you're just enabling them to keep doing the drugs. You're going to help them now in another way, right? You want to go to rehab, we're going to help you, whatever it is, right? So the Spirit, so that's what it is. And it's not that they take the help away, say, oh, now we don't care for you, you don't, it's not that. It's just like, okay, we're trying to teach you by love Now you're going to learn by pain. But who chose the pain? Is the spiritual plan who's saying, oh, now you're gonna learn by pain? No. It's us ourselves who do not make the choice of changing that are choosing to learn by pain. Because there's someone helping us the whole time. We didn't wanna, well, then we're gonna have to learn another way, right? It's like when Publius meets with the Jesus in the book 2,000 years ago, and Jesus says, you can follow me now by love. You can follow me in 1,000 years by pain. And Publius chose 1,000 years by pain, right? But that's okay, because today he's Emmanuel, and look how much teaching he brings to us. So we all have hope. That's the best part of this, right? There's hope to all of us, right? But it's us who choose the pain. It's us who choose to disconnect from the help that's out there. Oh, no, but it's my prayer that doesn't work. No, it does work. He works to all of us. But we need to do our homework. They are not here to solve our problems. But that's okay. So let's say I do my prayers with, with all the good sentiments in there. I even cry when I'm praying because I really feel my pain's really great, and nothing happens the way that I want it to happen, right? So why? Because I'm doing everything right that I should be doing. I'm doing my homework, and it's still not happening the way that I want to happen. So I bring this passage from the book Palavras de Vida Eterna, or Words of the Eternal Life. There's no translation for this book yet. It's another book by Chico Xavier, by the Spirit of Emmanuel. And chapter 166, called No Ato de Orar, so while praying, or while you are praying, Emmanuel makes a comment about this passage from Matthew, chapter 7, verse 9. It says, would any of you give your hungry child a stone if the child asks for some bread? And I think it's very important to bring this, because for centuries now, if you're not talking about 2 millenniums, we're very good at taking those passages from the gospel. Another one that I love is the one, ask and you shall receive. Right? It's fantastic. And pretty much it's the same thing as this one, right? Saying like, which father would give a stone to a child that's saying, I'm hungry? It would give food, like a good father would do it, right? So it says the same meaning of you ask and you shall receive. And we love to get those because it's very convenient to us. So what we do with them, we understand them we don't study them, and we get them very superficial, because if I keep it on the superficial, it's convenient to me. Oh, I just need to ask, it's going to come. Right? That's what it is. If I ask, it's in the Bible, it's in the gospel. You ask and you shall be given. Right? Which father was going to give a stone if you're asking for something different? Isn't God a loving father? Yeah, so if we take it as superficially, that's what we understand. That I just need to ask. And God's going to give me what I want. Well, Emmanuel is a very smart spirit, of course, way more enlightened than we are. And he makes a perfect analysis of this passage. And what's interesting about this passage is a 2-page passage. So this book is like a short passage, like about 2 pages each passage or each chapter. And it's funny because it doesn't even talk about God as a father the whole time. It talks about the earthly parents here. And that's how he says. He goes, let's talk about the earthly parents. So as a parent, there's few parents in here. When your child asks you something, don't you look into the circumstance, the time, it's safe or not, necessity, or you just give whatever your kids want? No, right? Your kid may ask you something that you say the circumstance now is the best one. No, right now you can't, because this is not the appropriate place. But when we get home, and it's okay. Or no, that's not the right time now, because now is your time to do your homework, not to play games. Right? We look into it because as an adult who understands better than a 3, 4, 5, 6 years old kid, we are the ones who decide what we're going to give or not. And when is the moment to give? Maybe now it's not, you can't, but tomorrow you can. Right? Don't we do this analysis? We don't just give whatever we want to our kids. Right? And then he gives an example. If a child, a parent doesn't give dynamite to the child to play just because the child pleads for it in tears, would you? So your kid come to you and say, I want to play with dynamite. No, I really want it. They're crying, they won't stop crying. But no, but I really want to play with dynamite. Which parent you would give a dynamite for the kids to play? Anyone? If there's anyone, let me know, talk at the end. Okay? You say no, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter how much your kid cries, pleads, jump up and down, say, but I really want it. You say no, right? I was talking with Marco. I remember his story about his son, who was 4 at the time, I think. He wanted to jump from the top of the stairs. He decided it was a cool thing to do. I just want to jump from the top of the stairs. And of course, Mom and Dad said, no, but I really want it. No, it is not happening. Because a 4-year-old child does not understand the consequence of jumping from the top of stairs. But hopefully the parents do. That's what we hope, right? The parents do. What's the consequence? So it's a big no. I don't care how much you cry and asking for it. It's not happening because it's not the best for you. Because the consequence of you asking me is drastic. It's at least a few broken bones, minimum. And with the dynamite, if you even have a bone left over, you're lucky, right? So you don't do it. It's the same thing. Your kid's not doing any, and Emmanuel keeps giving other examples. For example, if your kid's not doing well in school, do you give them all the benefits that they want? Oh, yeah, you're not doing good in school. You don't want to study. Sure, hear everything that you want. No, what we do is the opposite. We take out a few benefits, don't we? And say, well, when your marks are better, then you're gonna go back to doing this, or maybe you're back to playing your games, but your marks have to be better. Don't we do that? Oh, but the kid came and asked with so much on, because that's the other thing with kids. They're fantastic. They either plead like crying, like really crying, doing scan, or they come when the tactics doesn't work. They come the other way. They come, oh, mommy, you're so nice, please, and they're all tender, and they try to get, and you still say no, right? If you're really thinking about what's best for your kids, you still say no, because that's the other, isn't that, Cecilia? It's the other technique that they come. Then they go on the other side. They try to be nice, because if I ask nice, then I may get it, but we don't. We don't get it because as a parent you look, and when it changes as our kids start to grow. As they start to grow, have more sense of responsibility, maturity, we are more willing to give what they ask, because they also tend to ask the right things. Because my 15-year-old, I hope, is not going to ask to jump from the top of the stairs, because by 15 they already know that's not a good idea, right? So the things, as we get mature, we can start to ask better for the proper things. So we're more willing to say yes, right? Other things, they still don't have maturity, so it still is a no. So that's what we do with our kids, right? Until they don't get the maturity, the responsibility, we don't give whatever they want. So what the manual says is that an earthly parent will never take away the hope from their descendants. So it's not that you say, no, you can't, you don't have the capacity or anything. We don't. We're not limiting them. We're not taking their capacity away, okay? But on their own interest, on the interest of the child, they will give them this or that, consulting first the convenience and safety, until the point that the child reaches the level of maturity, responsibility, deserving, because we have to deserve as well, right, and ability, which will grant them the freedom to ask whatever they wish, right? So that's what we do with our child. And here it's not even talking about God as a father, as our father and mother. It's talking about like earthly parents. That's how we act with our earthly parents. That's what he's talking about. And then he ends with this. Therefore, if you experience mistrust and restlessness while you are praying, just because you cry and suffer, remember the compassion and discernment that already exist in the human home, and don't disbelieve the perfect and infinite mercy of our Heavenly Father. So what he's saying here is, imagine if your parents here, who are imperfect people, already says no to you for some of the things that we are doing because they know it's not good for you. And they're imperfect. Imagine God, who's perfect and knows the whole picture. Because our parents know half of the picture. Like God knows the whole picture. So sometimes things don't happen because we want it, because that's the best for us. And that's faith. Faith is not to say I believe in God. Faith is to trust, is to say, you know what, I'm going to do my best. I am going to do my diet that I should have been done. And then the result is going to be up to God what it is. But I am doing my homework. I am praying. I'm connecting to Him. I'm asking for the help. And whatever is the result, I am going to accept what it is. Because the help is always there. They are always around us, everywhere. But most of the time, it's us who block the help. So I'm going to bring a little video that actually, it's a video from Dalai Lama. And this video is actually summarizing everything that we spoke about today. Dalai Lama in this video is actually answering a question about, I don't know how the video, but I guess he's asking a question some ask, would pray solve the violence in the world? Would bring world peace, right? And Dalai Lama gives a very, very wise answer about it that almost sounds that he says, no, prayer doesn't work, but that's not what he meant to say. So let's just watch the video. It's a 1 minute. The sound was okay. Carlos.
How many years? So now we should be realistic. I want to be very careful. If we have completely then suddenly they will say, who creates violence? If violence created by God, then God will. But violence you create God. So it is your responsibility.
So a very simple and wise message. Did he say that he doesn't pray? It's actually the opposite. Right in the beginning, he starts saying, prayer is part of my daily routine. So he does praise every day. But he understands that prayer itself is not what's going to bring peace. We need to do our share, right? And I think it's very wise. And here he's talking about peace and on violence, but we can translate just to anything, to any kind of problem that we have in our lives. Who created those problems? We did. Who created the pain? We did, by our actions on this life, by our actions on previous life. Who has to correct it? It's us. Nobody's going to do that for us. Prayer is not there. It's not a quid pro quo, like I'm with God. You know, if you do this for me, God, then I will stay a month without eating chocolate. Like as if we're bargaining with God. Because for millennials, we have been bargaining with God. And it's time to stop bargaining, right? We have to solve our problems. This is what Dalai Lama brings in 1 minute. Is one of the most wise things that I have heard in my whole life about prayer. We do need to pray. Yes, we do need this connection with God. We need to be connected with them. We cannot disconnect from the source. The moment we disconnect from the source, we're lost. But we need to understand that it's our work to solve our problems and to want to take away the pain away from us, right? Because God's not going to solve us. And I love when he says, if you meet with Jesus Christ, ask him. And he's going to ask you, who created the problem? You. So you solve the problem. And that's what it is. And that's why we're here. Because if it was just a matter of praying and the spiritual plan or God saves our problem, we didn't need a reincarnation. What we need reincarnation for? I can come here, do whatever I want, and in the end I pray, ask for forgiveness, and everything's done. So why do I reincarnate? Someone's going to solve my problems. I don't need to come here to solve them. So reincarnation would have no meaning. There's no reason for reincarnation. Why are we here? To solve our problems ourselves. But let's never forget the power that prayer has, because it is one of the most powerful ways for us to get the help that we need, the tools that we need to keep going and solving our own problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. We have a couple minutes if anyone have any questions, any comments. Anyone online? No? Thank you. So we'll get ready for our passes. Thank you for those who join us online. Hope to see you next week. Você vai chamar